Hello students, welcome to this session. Today we are going to study sensory system. So in that first sensory organ is skin. So it is forming the covering of the entire body. It has two layers, epidermis outer and inner. Inner is called as dermis. So outer epidermis is divided into four layers: stratum corneum, stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum and stratum malpighian, then which contains melanin pigment and gives color to the skin. The dermis contains sweat glands, connective tissue, sebaceous glands which produces sebum, the sweat glands produces sweat which regulates the body temperature, hair follicles for the protection or sensation, adipose tissue for shock absorption, then nerve endings for the sensation of temperature, pain, temperature, pressure, and few blood vessels. So in this diagram you can see epidermis and dermis. The functions of skin, mainly it is protection from the external injuries, shock, then general sensation of touch, pain, temperature, pressure, then temperature regulation by sweat production, and absorption of oily substances, ointments, then vitamin D production, because skin contains dehydrocholesterol and is converted into vitamin D by action of sunlight. So, and which is the main mainly required for the bones growth. Second sensory organ is tongue. So it is a muscular organ present in the oral cavity. It has parts like roof, tip and body. The body is front portion is called oral part, which contains taste buds, and the posterior portion is called pharyngeal part, which contains lymphoids, that is lingual tonsil, and the sulcus terminalis, it is a V-shaped groove which divides oral and pharyngeal part. This it is mainly functioning as it helps in swallowing, it is organ of taste, it helps in speech and helps in mixing of the food with saliva. Third organ, sensory organ, is a nose. It has three parts mainly: external nose, the nasal septum and internal nasal cavity. So nasal septum divides nose into two parts, that is two nostrils. The lower 2/3 part is respiratory in function, because it contains respiratory ciliated mucosa. The air enters the nasal cavity through nostrils, then it is filtered in the nasal cavity, it is warmed and moistened before it enters the lungs. The hairs in nose and mucus trap the dust and bacteria and filters, like it acts as a air conditioned compartment. Upper 1/3 part is a narrow part which contains olfactory mucosa. It contains glands rich in enzymes, and the function is olfaction, that is odor is because of the odor is the function of this part, and function of nose mainly to respiration and olfaction. So eye parts are mainly outermost covering is called sclera. Then the function is mainly protection of eyeball. Then cornea, it is an anterior transparent membrane mainly for the reception of light rays, that is vision. Then last portion is the retina, innermost layer, and the image fall on the retina and the complete vision is because of the retina. The iris, it is a pigmented diaphragm which lies between cornea and lens, and it functions to regulate the amount of light. Pupil, opening in the center of the pupil. So by constriction or dilatation because of the light changes, so in dark the pupil dilates, and in the more light it constricts. Lens, it is biconvex structure between anterior and posterior segment of the eyeball, and the main function is refraction of light. Then conjunctiva, it is externally to sclera, and it has mainly two parts, palpebral and bulbar conjunctiva. So palpebral conjunctiva over the lids is used to see anemia, and bulbar conjunctiva over the eyeball is used to see if it becomes yellow, then used to see jaundice. The functions of eye is mainly vision. The eye is a special organ of sight. It is constructed to receive stimuli of rays of light on retina, and by means of optic nerves to transmit this to visual center of brain for interpretation, and then we can see the image. The next sensory organ is ear. So the parts are external ear, middle ear and internal ear, and the tympanic membrane between middle and external ear. So external ear is having parts like auricle or pinna, which helps in catching the sound waves. Then it has a opening that is called as external acoustic meatus, which contains glands, and the sebum or wax production is there to filter the sound waves from the dust and bacteria. Then tympanic membrane to catch sound waves. Middle ear contains 3 ossicles like bones. They are malleus, incus and stapes. Internal ear, it contains labyrinth, that is bony labyrinth and membranous labyrinth, and then the ducts and utricle, saccule and semicircular ducts. The function of ear is mainly hearing and balance. So hearing, it transmits sound waves from external to inner ear through the chain of the ear ossicles and transform the airborne vibration from tympanic membrane to liquid borne vibration in the internal ear. The intensity of the sound waves is increased 10 times by the ossicles, and this is carried to the brain through auditory nerve, and then finally we can hear the sound.
Hope you find this session useful for your understanding and for your exams. Thank you.